I have to be honest with you, this virus and the subsequent lockdown, albeit in Argentina, really shook me, and at times it still does. It felt for the first few weeks like I was just on an emotional roller coaster. Doing something creative was furthest from my mind. When I was trying to get to grips with what was happening with the pandemic, understanding what people and politicians were saying in Spanish, whilst at the same time supporting my 5-year-old to cope with the new confinement of staying inside all the time, and with no other face-to-face time with his peers. And as the weeks rolled on, and now in our home, we are over a month in lockdown, a home from home. I knew I needed to find a way to get off the roller coaster, or at least choose a more sedate one, rather than the corkscrew ride. I just did not know how to do it, and I certainly was too exhausted from feeling entangled in fear and anger to do anything. My chest felt tight, and my breath was at times shallow. My hands felt clammy and my throat was dry, and my jaw was tight and felt it wanted to clench a lot of the time and not let go. My knees and feet felt heavy, at times like lead, and I would catch myself thinking, because my throat was dry, that I had contracted the virus. While all this was going on, my eyes kept passing a box of watercolour paints on the kitchen table, buried slightly underneath a pile of paper. I found I was scolding myself. Stop. I'm stressed enough as it is without painting. This may come across strange to read from me as an art therapist. You can be sure I was also judging myself even more in this matter. Then I found a way in, to listen to what my body was curious about. After a few days of hovering around the box, I finally opened it, only to realise I had only one paintbrush in the whole apartment. It was then I suddenly remembered working with a young client who recently had been struggling with anxiety, and how I witnessed his way of using just one paintbrush to paint patterns of brushstrokes in lines, changing only with great care and subtlety the colour and temperature from time to time. Okay, I'm thinking, what if I do just little circles of paint rather than trying to paint a picture? Yeah, I could do this. Just one continual tiny movement, down, around and up. Look, each circle could have its own unique thin shape and a wee gap in the centre. This feels playful without effort, and yet I notice that I'm excited, quietly switched on to this. My hand and upper body are leaning in, moving faster with the brush, and making the palette wet with thirsty strokes to put paint on it. I'm settling into my own rhythm. And I love the way the wetness brings ideas from my circle. As I paint on now, I begin to notice in a very casual way the room around me. I like the change to quietness. I hear the muffled sound of the TV and the voices from the other room. I let my eyes glance back and forth in their own way at the sunlight coming in through the balcony window. And it, for some reason, allows me to fall a little bit more into my seat. Without much thought, I follow through and spread my feet apart, liking the rub I give them on the floor to feel their solidity. I think I'm slowing down a little, but it's kind of hard to tell. But something feels different. Maybe it's the way the colours of the paint look to me now. I stay longer, feeling my breath almost move in time with the way the paint bleeds and mixes. I'm no longer thinking I should have moved straight on to the next circle. As time progresses, and it's only less than 15 minutes gone, I have this urge just to see one painting at a time. So, I start to cut them out and look upon them as solo paintings. My babies, I name them jokingly to myself. I follow my impulse to cut around each one as a small rectangle. Yeah, they are exactly the right size that I can handle for this time and my energy at this moment, in my home, away from home. These little paintings lay gathered in a box of playing cards for a number of days after I painted them. Then I finally found a home for them. I began to give online therapy classes. I set up my table and chair with my laptop facing a blank white wall. And as I waited for my client to connect online, I looked at my image on the screen and realized that the space around me was too vacant and void of colour. I began placing my painted squares on the wall in a circular, rippled pattern. I noticed an unexpected smile that felt like triumph coming across my face, as I realized that I had found a way to take in both how my body was guiding me towards creative repair and self-regulation by remembering the inspired connection with my ex-client. I remember feeling gratitude for this. What do you notice in your body as it responds to this story? Do you notice anything different in the sensations in your body or the way you are in the room now? Maybe as you get on with your day today, you might notice without much effort how your body seems to be just a little curious about something that's creative for you, and that glimmers an idea of stealing it back a little bit of time, 5-10 minutes, just for you. Go well and go gently.